Hello everyone and welcome back to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be sculpting the buck T-Rex from Jurassic Park The Lost World. This will be my second time sculpting this guy. I sculpted him about 4 years ago, and this is an image of him right here. Yeah, his teeth look pretty gnarly and the paint job isn't that proper. I actually painted this one twice, but today I'm going to be making, well, the updated version and the hyper realistic version. This will honestly actually be my first full sculpture that's about like 2 feet long, or an actual big sculpture in about 2 years. The last big sculpture I made was the Tarbosaurus, and I made that on December 25th, 2022. Here's a picture of him. So right now you see that I'm blocking out like the main parts of the body with aluminum foil, and I have a reference image with me so I can make sure that I'm using all the proportions and all of like the bulk properly. And this is a courtesy of Marco Makes. He's the one who drew this render. I just copied it, or I just traced over it with my computer, and I got it here. So this is what I'm using for the reference of the armature, and then I'm going to move on to sculpting this dinosaur with clay. Alright, so now we have half of the body complete with aluminum foil, and now I'm going to be doing the other side off camera. Then I'll be so-called gluing them together, but I'll actually be wrapping both of the sides together. And as you can see, like one side is completely flat, so I'm going to flip the paper and do what I did on the other side. And now I have basically a mirrored copy of every single body part. Here I am sculpting the teeth in about rice-sized pieces, and I'll bake those, and I'll also bake the eyeballs, so that when it comes to sculpting the head, it's much easier for me to put like the soft clay on with the hard clay, so then it all like sticks together better. And if it's soft clay, if the teeth are made of soft clay, there's a bigger room for error. But then if it's not, if it's like harder, then it's much more easier for you to get the shape around. As you can see, I'm putting the eyelids around the eye, and that eye is baked, which is why it is a little bit burnt. Now I am applying the details on the face. When you see me get the paper clip, there is a part of it that is ripped off because it's covered with rubber, and that creates a very small circle which can act as scales. And if you see me with that brush, I'm using alcohol to smooth out the clay and smooth out all of the wrinkles. Then I bring in usually a toothpick, and then I would just score in some lines. Now I'm sculpting the neck, and surprisingly, since I'm used to sculpting mainly Rexy, she has these little bumps on her neck, but Buck doesn't have that. I looked at all the animatronics and the CGI models, I could not find any bumps that he has, the same ones as Rexy. I'll show a picture of one of my sculptures with them, and as you can see, Buck doesn't have them. But Buck, of course, he's mainly known for his very thick neck and all of those veins that are showing out. Alright, so when it came to painting the underbelly, I messed up and I put orange and pink for some reason, but then I went back and I had to put some off-white, which is made from white and yellow. I put a little bit of that, then I dry brushed some white. Now when it came to painting the stripes, I know that Buck doesn't really have as pronounced stripes as I painted him. He has like some smaller ones and they don't really go down all the way, they're much thicker. But I wanted to paint him my own way, I wanted to give him a little bit of a twist. This is what I would like for him to look like, and I actually think that he looks better this way, and he looks more natural. He looks like the tiger velociraptor, but of course without the tiger, like the orange part. And speaking of that, the next sculpting video will be the tiger velociraptor from Jurassic Park, The Lost World. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. This is my Buck Tyrannosaurus Rex sculpture from Jurassic Park The Lost World. I hope you guys appreciated this guy. He will be on my Etsy, and I'll launch that in about mid-August. Here he is next to my Buck sculpture from about 4 years ago. And as you can see, I have really improved, thankfully. And this is actually, it's been about like 2 years or a year and a half since I actually sculpted a big sculpture like this, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Thank you guys for watching. These are a few images I took outside with Buck, and have a nice day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.